Whatever you're doing in life, whether it's voiceover, maybe you're making a YouTube video, you're a professional plumber, exotic dancer, whatever it is you do in life, whatever challenge you're dealing with, you have to be your best friend. You got to be the person who is always the most supportive person of you that there is. And a big part of that is you've got to be the kind of person who really appreciates it when you have wins and when you have victories and when you conquer things that are difficult for you. Hey guys, what's going on this week? It's Glenn, getting over a little bit of a cold here. You might be able to hear it in my voice, but on the tail end of that, still feeling good. A couple weeks ago, I made a video where I was talking about redefining my relationship to successes and failures. And going off of that a little bit, based on something that a friend had mentioned to me earlier, I want to talk a little bit more about the successes and the wins. And this is something that I've been personally working on quite a bit more recently, and something that I've struggled with quite a bit since I was a little kid. Just really learning how to appreciate when I do something or when I accomplish something. And it's been a very difficult thing for me to really grasp and have a healthy relationship with. So, a little background on me. Ever since I was young, and there's a lot of reasons for this, but I had some, insecurities, and I was in a fairly high-achieving environment just with my school and, some of my family and whatnot. And it became where I grew up, where I had a hard time just appreciating anything that I did. And I had this very perfectionistic attitude around things, where I always felt like I had to achieve to this super high level. And I had to do that just to feel normal, just to be okay, just to be have self-validated. And anything less than that, I would really beat myself up about it. And, I certainly accomplished some things in my life, but, even after I did them, I was just so in this mindset of you got to keep pushing to the next thing. You got to keep achieving, that it wouldn't even register with me. And it got to the point where, you just stop taking on challenges or doing things, because, who wants to struggle and toil to do something if you're not even going to feel accomplished about it at the end, or it doesn't give you a greater sense of richness in your life. So that was, I realized, finally getting into my adult years, that that just wasn't a very healthy mindset to adopt, and that I really had to be better about, for my own sake, appreciating when I did something that was hard or challenging, or when I had a win, however I define that. And you got to define your own wins. A couple thoughts about that first. So one is that it can be, your win can be literally anything, even the small stuff. I would actually recommend, if you struggled like me with this stuff, start out with the small stuff. Really appreciate those tiny things in your life. So when I wake up in the morning now, I try to make my bed first thing. Sometimes I don't, but when I do, it's okay, I made my bed. I got up, I made my bed first thing. I've already done something productive. I've already gotten my day going. And reading my Bible. If I stop in the middle of, working and I drop down and do 10 push-ups or something, okay, that's a little win. That's something that I did that was something of a challenge for me to do. It took a little bit of willpower. It took a little bit of discomfort for me to do something and put myself on a path where I was being a better person. And I'm learning to appreciate those sort of things. And I mentioned this week, I'm getting over a cold here. And I had the flu a couple weeks back. I think I made a previous video about that back in December. And by that week, I was pretty much just out. I wasn't doing much of anything. And this week, even though I felt kind of crappy, I realized that it wasn't going to help my situation to just sort of lounge around and give up on any sort of routine or sense of duty or responsibility. So I actually tried to, get some stuff done this week. And obviously, I couldn't talk a lot, so I wasn't getting any recording done, and I'm fine with being on top of my orders, but I still managed to, step up and do some things that were a bit more difficult for me because I wasn't feeling my best. But I appreciated that I was willing to, try a little bit harder to get some stuff done, and I felt good about it. And I think it actually helped quite a bit with my sickness recovery process, where I just didn't feel as crappy because, even if I was under the weather, even if I didn't have as much energy, at least I did something. At least I was keeping moving. And so even just having small things and having realistic goals wherever you're at. I mean, you could be an Olympic level athlete, or you could be some bum who's just really just on the cusp of trying to get his life together. I mean, whatever it is, wherever you're at in life, you got to appreciate just doing those small little things that get you a little bit further along to where you're trying to go. And second thing I want to say about these is that you got to do your wins, or you've got to appreciate your wins for you, and not just because of the accolade you're going to get from telling or talking about it to your peers. So, I mean, everyone loves attention. We're social animals. We're wired for it. But so many people, and you see this in the age of social media, like a lot of folks who, some more than others, they love to get up on social media, talk about, their wins or, big things that happen in their life. And then they get all the comments and the likes and the reactions, and it just, lights up your brain. You get all this dopamine hits from that. And that's not necessarily a great thing either. Like, one of the last things that you want is to have your sense of happiness or self-worth be based on, the reception that you get from other people when you put yourself out there. Like, no, you really gotta, and there's nothing wrong with attention. There's nothing wrong with celebrating your victories from time to time, as long as you're being humble and keeping yourself based about it. But really, you gotta do your wins for you. It's got to be something that you can appreciate, even if nobody else finds out about it. Something that you just understand and appreciate internally. And yeah, it's just got to be something that's just, really, really close to you. And after enough time, you start developing that, and you just, keep giving yourself a little bit of self-talk every time you do something that you're supposed to do. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I checked my emails. Yeah, I did this. I did a journal entry. Yeah, I read my Bible, or I went to the gym. Maybe I didn't even have a great workout, but I went to the gym, and that was difficult for me this day. And you keep doing that, and you keep acknowledging that in your brain. And eventually your brain starts to change and develop, and it starts to want to do these things that are a little bit outside of your comfort zone. And it wants to keep, growing and challenging, because all of a sudden you're getting rewarded for doing that kind of stuff, for stepping into that tension, regardless of... Another point that I want to make is that, your wins should be something that's within your control. So, like, I mentioned in voice acting, in my video about successes and failures, you can't always control. You're fairly limited control over, if I audition for a role, whether or not I'm going to get it. But I can always control what I bring to the table at that time. I can control the amount of times that I audition. I can control my attempts. And so it's a healthy thing to really focus on your wins in terms of what you can actually do, regardless of the outcome of what happens. Maybe you try something, it doesn't work. Maybe it does work, maybe it doesn't work, but at least you tried it. If it was challenging, if it caused you to go out of your comfort zone, it doesn't matter what the results were, as long as it's something that was a growth for you, and you can appreciate that, you stepped up to a higher level for doing that. So yeah, just a couple thoughts about developing a healthier relationship with yourself, and just appreciating when you do things that are hard and when you're on a path that you want to be on. Because I've tried the other way, where you just shame yourself for not, hitting the mark. And let me tell you, you can fall into the doldrums pretty quick if you let that persist for too long. Oh, I keep circling around, so I just got a late Christmas present up here for myself. Love these Funko Pop toys, and I was a big fan of the classic boy bands back in the 90s. So I saw that on the internet, and that came in the mail the other day. So got that up there right now. Anyway, tangent. Anyway, that's about all I got to say for that. So, love yourself, strive for things, challenge yourself, get yourself out of your comfort zone, and appreciate yourself when you do, no matter how small it is. Anything that is something that you have to challenge yourself a little bit to do. That might be going for a walk around the block. That might be making your bed. That might be drinking an extra glass of water, or do anything that's a level above where you're at right now. Do it, appreciate it, love yourself, and move forward in life. All right, that's what I got this week. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Always love when my get people mention that they like my videos. I love reading the comments. I get back to everybody right now, because there's usually not too many. So I more than enjoy being able to engage in conversation with you guys, and I so appreciate anyone who takes the time out of their day to listen to me talk about this stuff. So yeah, that's what I got, and I'll take care. See you next week.